Hola a todos. Today we are going to review a listening comprehension paper. And as you know, this is going to be paper 1 at CAPE level. So this paper was taken, or rather, the questions were taken from May, June 2013. So how this is going to work is that I'm going to read the selections, right? Because I have access to the script. And then we're going to discuss the answers because the answers are already there. I would have already answered them, right? So we'll discuss vocab and whatnot, okay? And in terms of time, you will have a Walkman in the exam and you will be given a CD. So you can rewind and fast forward as you please. So you can move at your own pace, right? So let's get into it. All right, so section A. All right. Selection 1. Section A will consist of 5 selections, short selections, and then part B will be an interview, okay? So let's read selection 1. La vida diaria de muchos mexicanos se define por la pobreza. Los índices de pobreza de 2010 son peores que los de 2011. Y aunque lo que vemos es una recuperación, sigue aumentando la pobreza, indicó la representante de la FAO en México, Nuria Urquía Fernández. Mencionó que el problema del aumento de la pobreza en México es algo más circunstancial. Si vemos la evolución en el tiempo, vemos que hasta 2009 el índice baja, pero ahora se ha incrementado con el aumento de precios. And of course, if you would like to hear that again, you can always rewind the video, okay? So, question 1A. According to the selection, what is defined by poverty? Okay, so that was mentioned in the first part. La vida diaria de muchos mexicanos se define por la pobreza. So the daily life of many Mexicans is defined by poverty. So that was the very first line of the selection. B, what comparison is made between the poverty indices for 2010 and 2011? Los índices de pobreza de 2010 son peores que los de 2011. So that was the comparison. The poverty indices for 2010 are worse than those of 2011, or the ones for 2011. See, what trend is evident with regard to poverty? Aunque lo que vemos es una recuperación, sigue aumentando la pobreza. Although what we see is an improvement or recovery, poverty continues to rise. So that's the trend. Poverty continues to rise. D, who is Nuria Urquía Fernández? So it says, indicó la representante de la FAO, so in Mexico. So the representative of the FAO in Mexico. Okay. Well, if you don't know what that is, I would suggest you put it back. Because if you're in an exam and you're not familiar with that acronym, don't try to figure out what it is. Just put it back. They can't mark it as incorrect because even if you use the initials in Spanish, it still would be correct, right? So she's the representative of the FAO in Mexico. Mhm. So EI. How does Nuria Urquía Fernández describe poverty in Mexico? Mencionó que el problema del aumento de la pobreza en México es algo más circunstancial. So she's saying that the rise in poverty in Mexico is something more circumstantial. So that would be how she describes it. She said that the increase in poverty in Mexico is more circumstantial. Mhm. Why is the year 2009 significant? Si vemos la evolución en el tiempo, vemos que hasta 2009 el índice baja. So it is significant because up to 2009, the poverty index dropped, right? Mhm. And F, what is making poverty worse? Pero ahora se ha incrementado con el aumento de precios. The rise in prices is making poverty worse. Mhm. But now it has increased with the rise in prices. Mhm. So that is the first selection. Moving along. So we have a table that we have to fill out. All right. So selection 2. El gobierno de Filipinas ha fomentado la inmunización y el suministro de complementos de vitamina A desde principios del decenio de 1990. En una ocasión, estas medidas abarcaban casi el 90% de los niños y niñas de 6 años o menores. Miles de niños que se encuentran entre los más empobrecidos del país siguen amenazados por enfermedades que se pueden prevenir fácilmente. Es diferente para los niños que viven en el mundo industrializado, donde se dispone con facilidad de vacunas que salvan vidas. Okay? So name of the country mentioned in the selection, the Philippines. Because it said El Gobierno de Filipinas. That would be the Philippines. Types of items being promoted and by whom? Ha fomentado la inmunización, which is immunization, y el suministro de complementos de vitamina A, and the supply of vitamin A supplements. So those would have been the two types of items that were being promoted, okay? And the verb fomentar, that would be to encourage, right? So that verb, that could mean to promote, fomentar, okay? And by whom? The Philippine government. See, period when the promotion began. So it says, desde principios del decenio de 1990. So from the beginning, since the beginning of the decade 1990. So decenio, that means decade, okay? But you could also say at the beginning of 1990, right? D, percentage of lives saved in the target group. En una ocasión, estas medidas abarcaban casi el 90% de los niños y niñas. So casi el 90%, almost 90%, right? So that would be, I should say almost 90% rather than 90%, but it said casi. So I'll make that correction in time, but casi, it should be almost 90%. Age group that is mentioned, los niños y niñas de 6 años o menores. So 6 years or younger. So sectors of society most affected by illnesses. Miles de niños que se encuentran entre los más empobrecidos del país siguen amenazados por enfermedades que se pueden prevenir fácilmente. So thousands of children living in thousands of children that find themselves among the most impoverished continue to be threatened by diseases that can easily be prevented, okay? Therefore, sectors of society most affected by illnesses, children living in poverty. F, the way in which life is different in the developed world. Es diferente para los niños que viven en el mundo industrializado, donde se dispone con facilidad de vacunas que salvan vidas. So children in the developed world have easy access to vaccines which save lives. So that would be selection 2. Now to selection 3. Unas 15,000 tortugas marinas en peligro de extinción han formado nidos en las costas del Pacífico de Nicaragua. El ejército que resguarda los refugios de vida silvestre precisó en un comunicado que esos reptiles marinos han formado sus nidos en las playas. 5 especies de tortugas marinas se encuentran en peligro de extinción por diferentes factores. Según el ejército, que trabaja en coordinación con organismos ambientalistas, debido a la presencia militar, se ha disminuido el número de nidos de tortugas destruidos por saqueo. So which animal is mentioned in the selection? A sea turtle. Tortuga marina. What is significant about the animal that is mentioned in the selection? En tortugas marinas en peligro de extinción. So it is in danger of extinction. See, what has this animal done and where? Han formado nidos en las costas del Pacífico de Nicaragua. So it has formed nests, nido means nest, en las costas del Pacífico de Nicaragua. So it has formed nests on the Pacific coast of Nicaragua. So that answers what has it done and where. What does the Army claim? Okay, según el ejército que trabaja en coordinación con organismos ambientalistas, debido a la presencia militar, se ha disminuido el número de nidos de tortugas destruidos por saqueo. Saqueo means looting, right? So due to military presence, the number of damaged nests due to looting has reduced. So basically, the military presence has resulted in less looting, essentially, and by extension, less damage to the nest. Okay? So selection 3. Selection 4. Una empresa de Let me start over. Una empresa de Yucatán ha logrado desarrollar la tecnología para la recuperación de la fibra de Tetra Pak a fin de obtener la celulosa, Este material tiene diversos usos en el mercado nacional y extranjero. México no es un país productor de celulosa y los grandes consorcios la generan a partir de la tala de árboles. El uso de papel reciclado facilita menor consumo de agua, luz y de sustancias químicas necesarias para la obtención del papel blanco. Además, disminuye la contaminación. Ok, muy bien. Right. Okay, so what type of technology has a Yucatan firm developed? So that was mentioned in the first part. Una empresa de Yucatán ha logrado desarrollar la tecnología para la recuperación de la fibra de Tetra Pak a fin de obtener la celulosa. So it has developed technology to recover the fiber of Tetra Pak in order to obtain cellulose. Where is cellulose used? Este material tiene diversos usos en el mercado nacional y extranjero. So it has various uses in the local market, the local and foreign market. Okay, extranjero. So it is used in the national and foreign market. How does Mexico get its cellulose? La generan a partir de la tala de árboles. So it gets its cellulose from cutting down trees. So tala means cutting down. Tala de árboles. D. How does the recycling of paper promote conservation? Okay. El uso de papel reciclado facilita menor consumo de agua, luz y de sustancias químicas necesarias para la obtención del papel blanco. So it promotes conservation conservation by facilitating less water usage, light, as well as chemical substances that are necessary to obtain white paper, right? So conserve deals with preservation. They also say además disminuye la contaminación. So it reduces pollution. So I could mention that, but less uses of water and viable resources, right? But I'll add that in just in case that's part of the answer, right? How does the recycling of paper promote conservation? Right. Okay. Yeah. Never could be too short. Okay, selection 5. El eco ecoturismo es el turismo con un mínimo impacto en el ambiente. Produce ingresos importantes en el país que lo desarrolla, los cuales ayudan a proteger importantes áreas naturales. Costa Rica, donde nació el ecoturismo, es también un lugar donde esta actividad ha alcanzado su máximo nivel de éxito. Recibe miles de visitantes cada año. Es un pequeño país de gran belleza y riqueza natural. Cuenta con más especies de aves que los Estados Unidos y más variedad de mariposas que todo el continente africano. Okay? According to the selection, what is ecotourism? So, el ecoturismo es el turismo con un mínimo impacto en el ambiente. So, ecotourism is tourism which has a minimal impact on the environment. All right? Why is ecotourism important? Produce ingresos importantes en el país que lo desarrolla, los cuales ayudan a proteger importantes áreas naturales. So it is important because it generates crucial income, which helps to protect important natural areas. Which country is mentioned in the selection? Costa Rica. So Costa Rica is the country mentioned in the selection. State two reasons for the country being mentioned. Costa Rica, donde nació el ecoturismo. So that's reason number one. It is the place where it was born or where it originated or where it started. It is the place where ecotourism started. Es también un lugar donde esta actividad ha alcanzado su máximo éxito. And it is the place where ecotourism is the most successful. That's right. E, what does the country have in more abundance than the African continent? So it says here, cuenta con más especies de aves que los Estados Unidos. So it has more species or more bird species than the USA. And more variety, y más variedad de mariposas que todo el continente africano. And more variety, and a greater variety or more variety of butterflies than all of the African continent. So it has a greater variety of butterflies than the African continent. Mariposas, that is butterfly. So mariposa, butterfly. Oh, right. So those are that would be end of section A. Now we're going on to the interview, right? So interview with Carmen Pont, nutrition specialist on the subject of obesity in children. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the first part, then I'm going to read the second part, right? So yes, entrevistador. That's the interview, of course. Doctora Pont, ¿qué recomienda usted para evitar la obesidad infantil? Doctora Pont, or Carmen Pont. Es importante que los niños tomen una dieta variada, equilibrada y saludable. Es recomendable que los niños tengan 5 comidas al día: desayuno, media mañana, comida, merienda y cena. Entrevistador: ¿por qué la obesidad aumenta y afecta especialmente a los niños entre los 6 y los 10 años de edad. Doctor Carmen Pont. La obesidad aumenta porque se produce un desequilibrio energético debido a que la energía ingerida es superior a la gastada. Este exceso de calorías se almacena en forma de grasa. Actualmente, los niños entre 6 y 10 años disfrutan de un tiempo de ocio cada vez más sedentario. Entrevistador, o sea, no hacen bastante ejercicio. Carmen Pont, no, pasan más tiempo frente a una pantalla de televisión o de ordenador que realizando actividades físicas. Okay, so part 1, 6A. What does Dr. Pont recommend to avoid obesity in children? Sounds like a French name. But then again, no, because Carmen, yeah. So it's just the surname sounds a little French, but yeah. She recommends that children follow a diet that is varied, balanced, and healthy. So that was said in Es importante que los niños tomen una dieta variada, equilibrada y saludable. So she said that it's important that children have a diet that is varied, balanced, and healthy. You could also say you could also translate variada as diverse, right? But those were the 3 pieces of information that she provided about the diet, right? B, how many meals does Dr. Paul recommend for children each day? So she said, que los niños tengan 5 comidas al día, 5 meals a day. You did not have to list them because it only asks for the number. So media mañana will be a mid-morning snack, and merienda would be a late afternoon or an afternoon snack, right? In case you didn't know. En caso de que ustedes no lo sepan. C, explain how obesity develops in young children. La obesidad aumenta porque se produce un I always have problem pronouncing this word. Oh, my phone went blank just now. Produce un desequilibrio, sí, desequilibrio energético, debido a que la energía ingerida es superior a la gastada. Este exceso de calorías se almacena en forma de grasa. Okay, so how does it develop in young children? Okay. Right. So obesity occurs due to an energy imbalance because more calories are consumed than burned. That's what it's basically saying. You don't have to be literal in interpreting this information as long as you capture the idea. The excess calories are stored in the form of fat. Right. So that's how obesity would develop. I'm wondering if I should also mention what they said at the end. Actualmente los niños entre 6 y 10 años disfrutan de un tiempo de ocio cada vez más sedentario. It's saying basically that at the moment, children in this age group, 6 to 10, enjoy more time. Their time is more, they lead more sedentary lives. Right. So yeah, lives that are not, they're not really active. So should I mention that as part of how it develops in children? Mm, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one. But because it says explain how it develops. That's just, to me, that's just mentioning a fact. It didn't say that, okay, that's the reason why they're obese. It's just mentioning that as a fact. After they've just explained that more calories are consumed than burned. So I'll leave that. And D, what should children be encouraged to do in order to avoid obesity? Okay. So no pasan más tiempo frente a una pantalla de televisión o de ordenador que realizando actividades físicas. So she said basically that they should spend more time performing physical activities as opposed to being in front of TV and computer screens. This will allow them to burn more calories than they consume. Right, essentially. All right, let's go to part two. Entrevistador. ¿Cómo diagnostica este trastorno? Ujú. Obesidad en la infancia se define como valores de IMC iguales o superiores a los valores de los percentiles 97 y 85 respectivamente. Los los pediatras miran la evolución de peso y talla del niño y, teniendo en cuenta su edad, observan en qué percentil se sitúa. Entrevistador. Did I say Carmen Pont? Okay, Carmen Pont just said all of that. Entrevistador. ¿Se debe reducir el consumo de pan? Carmen Pont. Hay muchos otros alimentos que deben restringirse antes que el pan, como las grasas saturadas y las bebidas azucaradas. Es decir, la restricción debe ir dirigida a alimentos muy calóricos y con escaso interés nutricional. Entrevistador. ¿Cuáles son las recomendaciones nutricionales durante el crecimiento para la prevención de la obesidad? Carmen Pong. El exceso de peso en la infancia tiene repercusiones en la salud, en el desarrollo psicológico y en la adaptación social del niño, y además predice la tasa de obesidad en el adulto. Por eso es importante inculcar unos hábitos saludables como tener una alimentación variada y equilibrada. Entrevistador. ¿Cómo podemos introducir estos hábitos saludables dentro de los gustos de los niños? Camepo, educando con el ejemplo. Mhm. All right, so name two factors that are taken into consideration when obesity is being diagnosed. So it says, obesidad en la infancia se define como valores de IMC. So I actually know that it means body mass index, índice de masa corporal. I know that, so I could actually put it in English because I actually know what that means. Iguales o superiores a los valores de los percentiles 97 y 85 respectivamente. So two factors are BMI values that are equal to or higher than the values of the 97th and 85th percentiles respectively. So it means if it is higher than the 85th percentile, the value of the 85th percentile, but it is equal to, it's greater than the 85th percentile, but equal to the 97th percentile, that would be considered an obese child. Mhm. So that's why they have it as respectively, because equal to refers to the 97th and higher than refers to the 85th. Okay. Which two types of food are to be avoided to eliminate obesity in children? Es decir, la restricción debe ir dirigida a alimentos muy calóricos y con escaso interés nutricional. So, restrictions should basically be, so basically foods that are very, very high in calories, or as they say, high calorie foods, alimentos muy calóricos y con escaso interés nutricional. And, those foods with little nutritional value, right? Those are two types of foods that should be avoided. G, according to Dr. Paul, what are two of the negative effects of obesity? So, el exceso de peso en la infancia tiene repercusiones en la salud, en el desarrollo psicológico y en la adaptación social del niño. Y además predice la tasa de obesidad en el adulto. So there were a few things. It says it results in health repercussions, right? And I said, and compromise social adjustment. Because it said, en la adaptación social del niño. So compromise social adjustment, which means that the person would not fit in as they should. They will have problems adjusting, maybe making friends, maybe being confident, their self-esteem would be impacted, things like that. H, how can adults ensure that children eat healthy? Por eso es, no, my bad. So the interviewer asks, ¿cómo podemos introducir estos hábitos saludables dentro de los gastos de los niños? Carmen educando con el ejemplo. So educating with example. So what they're saying basically is lead by example. So if we want to inculcate these habits, right, we have to lead by example. Therefore, the answer will be this can be done if people lead by example and eat healthy, because the children will follow the adults. All right. So this brings us to the end of this selection, or this paper rather. Espero que perdón, espero que a ustedes les haya gustado el video. Muchas gracias por ver y nos vemos.